I'm Joe.
And I'm Ryan, and welcome to the Budget Bros podcast. We've set out to make something different. Our goal is to reinvent the meaning of the word budget and to help you achieve a quality life without feeling like you're really giving anything up.
We share our mindset, give you the tips, tricks, and techniques that we use ourselves. We do the legwork and give you the very best of everything we find. Get ready. The podcast starts right now. Welcome to episode 6 of the Budget Bros podcast. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Joe. Joe, I just have to mention real quick, I know you didn't even want me to mention this on this episode, but you're making these really sweet little money-saving videos, and we're getting a little bit of an audience for them, which is, I think it feels great, you know, that people actually are liking some of the content that we're creating.
Yeah, if you're listening and you want to see them, you can go to our website, budgetbrospodcast.com, and on the very top, we have all of our different social media platforms. That's where we're posting them.
Yeah, definitely check them out. And if you're new to the podcast, we just want to welcome you. We have a lot of good things in store. We're going to talk about it a little later. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite things, one of my favorite words in the English language, the word free. How about you, Joe? Hi, how do you feel about that word?
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's my favorite word in the English language. I think it's cornucopia. That's my favorite word of all the words, only because it sounds so cool.
It does sound pretty sweet, but we're going to talk.
But we're going to tell you about a cornucopia of things that you can find for free today.
Free items. See how we did that? We were just joking about earlier. Before every episode, we get together, we talk about what we're going to do on the episode, and then we make some show notes on a Google Doc. And how many pages of show notes do you see that I created there, Joe? Can you count them for the
You
audience?
have at least 6 just for this episode, but we have a total of 50 between the 6 episodes we have. So there's a lot of reading, and I don't like to read.
Joe, can you tell the listeners what you added to this week's show notes?
I think they get it. You are the studious one, okay? Ryan likes to have everything written out, you know, like everything that we talk about. And he goes, okay, I wrote everything. You just write the beginning part. And I wrote banter.
He wrote banter. He wrote one word.
One word.
And I told him, I said, fine. But as soon as we go on air, I'm going to mention this. So this is,
you know, I jump the gun. I just get right into it, get my feet wet, and
jump the gun,
see
Joe.
what happens.
This happens almost every episode. This is another behind the scenes look. We start and Joe's like, okay, let's just record. And I'm like, well, what are we going to talk about? It doesn't matter. Just we'll start. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. And I'm like, but like what deals, what? No, don't worry. We're going to figure it out.
Oh, wait, no, dude. A lot of stuff. We got a lot of knowledge. I was in finance for 15 years. We can do this.
We're just going to come up with it. You know, what is cool? I have to give Joe mad props. He has been doing a ton of work on our social media platforms and bringing people in from that. So he does work super hard on those things, and I do appreciate that. But I gotta rib him a little bit when I can.
Hey, I'm ribbing you because you're putting in all this work, and I don't even know why.
Because we're not going to read the show. Who's going to read the show notes anyway? We haven't even said anything in them yet. Who cares? At least
you know what I think we should do at the end of every episode? We should just post these show notes so that people
and it
can
has
see
nothing to
all
do
the
with
stuff.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with anything we actually talk about.
Because I'm just going to edit all that stuff out anyways. But it's good. It gets our juices flowing, and again, I do appreciate all of this hard work that you put into this, even though I don't read it.
So today's episode is on free things, free items. We all are looking for deals, and the best deal is free.
Whoever said there's no such thing as a free lunch?
There is sometimes, not as often as we wish there was, but
if you were like me, poor in school, I got a free lunch.
I know, and I was so sad because my parents just made enough money not to get the free lunch, but like not enough to me actually pack a great lunch. So I would look longingly at all the free lunch children and think, man, I just wish my dad made just a little less money each month.
You're like, Mom, can you please quit your job so I can get the free lunch?
Yeah. I know we're like probably within $100 to $200 of just getting right there. And I could be eating this hot, awesome pizza or you know, burritos or whatever it is. But instead, I got this bologna sandwich. That's enough complaining.
You know, I remember, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but I grew up on, and I know our listeners can probably relate if they are anywhere near our age, is the government cheese, government powdered milk, government peanut butter, all these things that the government would give you, government cornflakes.
Really?
You know, there was like this program and you would get food from the government. And for us, you know, since we grew up on it, we think that's like the best thing ever. You know, I didn't know what regular milk tasted like until I went to like a friend's house and they were pouring milk on their cereal. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, don't you need to add water? They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you know, powdered milk. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm different.
I often hear things about like read things online, got to get that government cheese or whatever, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I knew that the government gave it out, but what exactly is government cheese? Can you please explain this to me?
Government cheese is like, it's like a wheel, man. It's no joke. It's like you could stop a bus with this thing. It's just a huge chunk of cheese, and they'd give it out to families. You know, I was young, so I didn't really understand. You know, I didn't really know how much people were getting and stuff like that, and what qualified you or anything. But I knew that my family and many of the families in our area were getting these government supplements and things like that. These cheese. Now, then they introduced, I believe, like EBT program and where people would just go to the grocery store and get that stuff. But before that, it was like the government would make this food and then give it out to people that needed it.
But getting back to free things, what is the best thing that you've ever gotten for free besides government cheese in your life?
You know, looking back and trying to remember all the stuff I got for free, you know, when you're growing up and you're poor, you get a lot of stuff. You get a lot of hand-me-downs, right? You get a lot of used stuff. Like, okay, somebody used it up. They don't want it anymore. Oh, let's give it to the poor family, right? And after my wife and I got married, we had this friend who bought us a bed. It is the most comfortable, softest, amazing bed ever. And every time I sleep in it, I sleep amazingly well. It's one of those beds that kind of like you like get sucked into. And, you know, apparently it's very valuable. I don't know. She just gave it to us, so I don't know. And it was brand new. And so that's probably the best free thing. What about you, Ryan?
Before I go on and tell you my best free thing, talking about beds brings up a couple of bed stories because even though we didn't qualify to get the free lunch, I had terrible beds growing up. I remember having one bed that had the spring in the middle of the bed. It was like a little twin, and I just remember all the time having to sleep on the right or the left side of the bed. Otherwise, I was sleeping right in the middle of that spring. And then I thought I had leveled up big time when my parents upgraded their bed, which was a water bed. But it wasn't like the traditional water bed. It was the water bed that had like tubes of water. So it was a bunch of tubes of water in the bed. That thing only lasted me like a year before one of those things popped and we had a water disaster in my room. I didn't really know what a good bed was until I got married.
You know, honestly, I did not care one iota about where I slept. I could have slept on the floor before I got married. And now I'm so like, everything's got to be like perfect because, you know, my wife has really trained me on what a really good sleeping situation is. Everything has to be nice and cool. And she's got her essential oils blown out into the air and all this comfortable stuff. Now, if I ever sleep in like a hotel or something like that, I'm just completely miserable because it's not my bed and my wonderful space.
Yeah, I think we get spoiled over time. When you're younger, they could just throw you in the little corner with a blanket and you don't care. But I'm the same way now. But talking about the best thing that I've ever gotten for free, well, I had a job for many years working as a barber. And over time, you start building these relationships with your clients. And I got a lot of hookups because of that. I got to go to free sporting events. I got floor seats once at a basketball game. One time we got these box seats with free food and everything like that at a couple different baseball games and other things. So that was really cool. And on top of that, I had a couple customers who, one guy was some sort of regional manager or something for Chipotle. So one day he walked into the barber shop and dropped all of these cards on the counter after he paid. And he said, hey, give these to all the guys at the barber shop. And I picked them up and they weren't just like regular coupons. They were these hard plastic cards with the founders' names of Chipotle on them. So, you know, I'd walk into
the hookup.
Yeah, they said like free any item at Chipotle. So I'd walk in with like Bob, the founder of Chipotle, and hand them it at the counter. And it didn't matter. You could get like every meat in 5 pounds of guac, and they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever you need, sir. Go ahead." They were pretty cool cards. So there was a bunch of cool hookups like that over time. But that's not a normal free thing that most people have access to.
I love that you got all this great free stuff. I think the best free thing I ever got was, cardboard moving boxes from the back of a grocery store. And you think you scored. You're like, yes, they have boxes. Load it up. And they're clean.
They don't have milk stains in them.
Yeah, they don't have rotten food all over them. Woohoo! We did it. Load them up. Let's pack up the stuff that belongs in the garbage can to move it to the next place.
Well, on today's episode, we're going to talk about items that you get 100% free. Now, this isn't like any of those YouTube videos that you watch. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those, like how to get this for free. And you watch the whole video, there's like 20 ads in it. And by the time you get to the end, they're like trying to sell you something else. You're like, oh, man, they end up being a waste of time, a scam, whatever. Today, in today's episode, we're going to tell you how to get free movies, seeds for your garden, tool rentals, electronic rentals, tickets to local events, and much more. And if you stick around to the end of today's episode, we have a very special money-saving tip of the week. In fact, my wife, Lucy, came up with this tip on how to get great clothing at a fraction of the price. I had to say it so you could put the little bell in.
Okay, bell to be added later.
There's so much.
It's all free.
There's so much free going on in today's episode. We're really excited about it.
Free is always good. I mean, free. I really think about the word free, Ryan. Like, what does the word free mean to you?
Free means that I get a win. I don't know why. It feels like I win when I don't have to pay for something. Is that a weird way to feel? I don't know, but it's like I figured something out. There's really nothing in life for free. Everything costs somebody something. So when you're able to find one of these deals or get benefit, and maybe somebody's able to generously give you something, it feels great.
And I think that people feel good when they give away something for free as well. And I think sometimes you have these things out there, like I know there's websites where you can get things for free. I think you were talking about one earlier. What was the name of that?
Oh, Free Cycle?
Yeah, there's websites like Free Cycle where people are just giving things away for free because either they feel good about that or they want to get rid of it. And there's always going to be somebody out there. I remember I had some rocks in my front yard. It was just basically like these, I don't know, janky looking rocks on the side of my house. They were just big. And I remember I would put them on Craigslist. Hey, if anybody wants to pull these rocks out and put them in their truck and get them out of here, you're welcome to them. And right away, I had several people want these rocks, and they came out and they, one person picked them up. It took him like 5 trips to get all these rocks because he kept weighing his truck down. And I was thinking to myself, who's doing who wants these rocks? But he wanted them. And so I was able to give away some free rocks, but I've given away things obviously in the past for free. And, just because you want to get it out of your house, you don't want it to go to waste.
Yeah. We have brush and bulky day in our neighborhood. And sometimes I'll wheel something out that I think that nobody's going to want anymore, like an old washer or dryer or something. And it's almost maybe 5 to 10 minutes after I wheel that thing out to the corner, it's gone. Somebody's come by, they picked it up. They know how to make money off it, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. Maybe we need to have that guy on our show and ask him how he's making money off of picking up stuff off the side of the road. There's so many different ways of getting free things and coming ahead because of it.
I think it's also a mindset, though, of like, if you wanted gravel in your front yard, you could probably find it for free. But you're going to have to scoop it out of somebody's yard and load it in a truck, do all that work. Is it really worth it? You have to decide that for yourself. But, there's a lot of things that cost a pretty penny that you can get for free. The ones we're going to talk about today are a whole lot easier than that.
Yeah, there's no shoveling rock like like we do, like we mentioned in the last episode, like I do when I talk to you on the phone. But anyway, Joe, tell us where all of these items that we're going to talk today, they all come from one place.
The thing we're going to mention today is going to surprise you a little bit. One place you can all go to. It's likely you have one of these in your town or in your city. And what we're talking about today is the library. It's such a good thing, and the more research that we did, I think I got this for free. The more research that we did, the more amazing it started to become, because there's so much resources, both in the library itself, outside of the library with third party companies that they work with, and also especially online. So we don't want you to stop listening. We want you to please listen, because you'd be amazed at not just free stuff that you can get, but valuable things you can get.
There is a ton of stuff that you can get for free at the library. My wife started finding a lot of these resources years ago, and I didn't really look too in depth at what she was utilizing the library for. Because the last time I think I went to the library, I was probably 14, 15, maybe younger, maybe 13. It was the year that Ace of Base was playing every day on the radio. And you want to know why I know this, Joe? It wasn't on in the library. It was because my mom would send us into the library for the special paper that they had called the Bear Essential. And in the Bear Essential, there was a coupon. Of course, the story is always if it's coming from my mom, it's going to end in coupon. So there's this special coupon for a free, this lines up perfectly with today's episode, free Subway sandwich. She sent my sister and I into the library every day to ask the librarian for a Bear Essential. By the end of that summer, the librarian knew both of our names. Like, oh, okay, you're here for the Bear Essential. Grab this paper. We'll see you later, kids. And then we'd go from the library to Subway. I'd walk in. Ace of Base was always playing on the radio at Subway. I think they just had it continually on repeat. And I would get a turkey sub for free every day that summer.
See, there is such a thing as a free lunch. See, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but when you went out to eat with your parents when you were a kid, I never ordered for myself. Maybe this is an old school thing. Maybe this is old school thinking. But when I would go to a restaurant or even a fast food place like Subway, good food quickly place, whatever, I never was like, hey, I want this. No, it was like, you're going to get what we get you. And every time we went to Subway, I got a veggie sandwich because it was the cheapest sandwich there was. I got a 6-inch veggie. It was like $1.50 at the time. They'd probably get the veggie sandwich too, but it just kind of made me think of that. I was just like, that's crazy. But
my parents never brought us out to eat. Like, whenever my parents went out to eat, it was something special and the kids would stay at home. And the one time they did bring us out to eat, this is a hilarious story. They brought us to Macayo's, and that night they had a chili eating contest, like chili pepper eating contest in the bar. And of course, I'm like, I'm going to make my family money. I'm going to make us like $20. So I run in there. And I take the bite of the hottest pepper I've ever had. And now I eat so many hot peppers, so this probably wasn't even hot back then. But for me at that time, I spent the rest of the night crying and drinking water in the restaurant. And my dad said, I am never bringing the kids again when we go out to eat. That was it. I ruined the whole thing, just crying into a water glass. I have one bite, like literally one bite. These guys are housing these things. And anyway.
Going back to the library to me growing up was such a special place because we could go there and spend the whole day in just like this quiet place. And, you know, it was like the smell of the books, like old books. I still love that smell, and just enjoying a good read. In fact, I remember I won a contest when I was really, really young for reading the most books, because my parents would just go to and that's what we did for fun, you know? Go to the library and just hang out there all day. I'm sure if they would have had some of these cool free things, we would have been doing some other things. But we just went to the library. We read books. I learned the Dewey Decimal System, and that was my childhood.
See, the library was opposite for me. Besides the coupon trips, my mom would go and get books, and I was so bored. I wasn't a reader as a child. And today I like to read a lot of magazines and news stories and different deal websites and things like that. But that's about my speed. I have such bad ADD that I can't sit down and read an entire book. So at the library, I was so bored. It was like the worst place on earth for me to go personally. But now libraries are utilized for so many things. If you're not a reader, you're going to want to listen to what we found. I think we're going to start by telling you about this article that we found on money.com. It's entitled 200 Random Things Libraries Will Let You Check Out for Free. And I want to tell you the funny part about this title. It says, From Instant Pots to Skulls. What? We're just going to quickly let you know that skulls are animal skulls that you can check out, not human skulls.
This is in Anchorage, Alaska.
For
you can
the
check
animal
out,
skulls?
You can loan out a skull. Oh, you can also get furs and mounted animals as well.
And that ends our podcast today. Those are all the cool things.
All right, that's it.
No, so looking at this list of 200, which we're going to go ahead and put in our show notes so that you can quickly pull this up. Maybe one of these 200 items is at a library nearby you. But some things that we particularly picked out, the first set of things that I thought was awesome was tools. How often are you in the middle of a project and you have to go purchase a tool, or have you ever gone and used the Home Depot rent-a-tool option, Joe, for anything?
Yeah, I've done that several times, and it's worked out in some occasions, sometimes not.
It can be a little bit expensive sometimes. There's certain libraries that rent out basic tools like a drill set or a Dremel set to their customers, but they have these things called tool libraries also. They've got an extensive list of tools that you can check out. There's some great things here that would cost you a pretty penny if you were to go to like Home Depot and check out. Just to name a couple, you can get a compressor, a 12-foot ladder, a miter saw if you're doing, some sort of baseboard project, a pressure washer. Just last week, one of our friends on Instagram put up a post. Does anybody have a pressure washer to use? And then 2 days later, she put up another post. Does anybody have a pressure washer to use? I should have told her, hey, check out the library. If you were to add up how much each of these checkouts would cost for Home Depot, it would be a pretty penny.
Yeah, it would.
One more item I do want to mention is the Rug Doctor carpet cleaner you can check out there. What I like to do is use those to clean out the upholstery on my car every so often. Well, if you make use of the library, you can rent this for free if it's in your area.
Many of the things that you can get are actually free electronics. How would you like to get a free Sega Genesis to rent, or a Nintendo Switch, or a PlayStation 2? We found a library that actually rents out Oculus Rifts, which is like those virtual reality headsets. They'll actually rent out things like projectors. You could have a movie in the park. You can even rent a podcasting studio.
In fact, that's exactly where we got all of our podcasting equipment. That's how dedicated we are to saving money. Each week we go and we rent it. We bring it back a week later, and we rent it out again.
If you need to rent your podcasting studio, you're probably going to have like an episode a quarter or something like that. Well, if you have an old VHS tape, don't worry, because you can convert it to a DVD by going to the Washington County Cooperative Library Services. So pretty much if you live in Washington, and you can rent yourself a VHS to DVD converter, so that you can get all of your VHS movies to DVD movies, so you can take them from DVD, upload them onto the cloud, and never see them again.
See, that might be the best tip of the day. Like, where else are you going to find a VHS to DVD converter? And what are you going to do with that DVD once you have it? Because nobody uses DVDs anymore.
They do have film to digital converters,
okay,
metal detectors, sewing machines, thermal cameras.
There's so many things on this list that you can rent for free at the library. It is insane. Like, there's pressure cookers, crock pots. If you wanted to get into cooking or even just wanted to try one of these items out to see if you like it, rent it for the library for a week. And
yeah,
then
there's a mochi maker.
Mochi maker?
Yeah, a mochi maker.
Mochi. It's those little
M-O-C-H-I.
It's like the little kind of ice
little
cream
buns?
bun. They're ice creamy though, right? Aren't they in the frozen
Yeah.
section?
Yeah.
I get them sometimes at Trader Joe's. They're good. Well, besides that,
wait. Before we get any further, I have to tell you this last one.
You have a mochi
You can
story? You really have a mochi story?
No, I don't.
Okay.
There's one more thing on here that I think is really interesting. You can get either a companion dog or a companion cat. And the companion cat is like an automatronic robotic cat.
Oh, okay.
that you pet, and it will reward your love with gentle purrs and movements.
So it's like it's a robotic animal.
It is, but it'll keep you during these times where people are isolated, it might be good to go rent a cat for yourself for the day.
Let's just say if you ever wanted to throw a party in the future, if these times changed, there are some super cool things you can rent for free at a lot of libraries. For instance, we found board games. We're not talking about like Monopoly and Sorry, but they have some of the most up-to-date board games. There's other things like bocce ball sets, cornhole, and even one library that we found had a bouncy house that you can get for your kids. And I don't know, I've never rented a bouncy house before, but I can imagine they're pretty expensive.
Haven't?
No, I mean, I haven't like thrown a barbecue with a bouncy house, but I can imagine they're expensive. So
Yeah, they are probably expensive.
Probably. So we're just going to say they're probably expensive. So
Are they maybe expensive, or are they definitely expensive?
I without any research, I'm going to say they're definitely expensive.
Definitely, probably, definitely.
So we've talked about a bunch of free items, and we're gonna post this list on our website, budgetbrospodcast.com. So besides these free items that you can check out, there's other free things that you can get at the library, including free movies, audiobooks, online magazines, ancestry research, free seeds if you want to start a garden, consumer reports. I know that one excites you, Joe. You love consumer reports. And even free tickets to local events and museums. So we're going to go into a little more depth on a couple of these items. Joe, can you tell us about a free movie streaming service?
A movie streaming service that is connected to most libraries, and it's called Canopy. So if you've used something like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu or one of these streaming services, you'll be familiar with how these work. You can rent up to 15 movies a month absolutely for free just by having your library card. You're going to see content from movies to documentaries to the arts. There's some really interesting ones on science, which includes things like, agriculture and geology, biology, chemistry, computer science, engineering, things like that. And then some additional staff picks and things that you'll see. But you can basically go on there, watch those for free. And if you have children in the home, they can get any part of what's called the Canopy Kids area free for the entire month.
Now, are there any titles that we're going to recognize?
Yes.
There you go. Go to Canopy and check it out. See if you recognize any of them. Sometimes there's like these free movie apps and you're like, I don't know any of these movies. But in Canopy, according to Joe, you will recognize these.
You know what? I actually don't know if there's a lot of them that are like buried in Amazon, I've noticed. So you might recognize some of them, but their goal, I believe, as Canopy is to provide
artsy.
Yeah, like more artsy type stuff. That would be a good way to describe it.
I think they have some good content for the kids though, and it's educational as well. I think that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I'd probably focus on the educational stuff. I wouldn't watch any of the actual movies on this. Now, Ryan, tell us a little bit about something that the library offers that's comparable to Audible.
Well, I just saw a commercial for Audible. Audible costs $14.95 a month.
Wow, that's not free.
That's not free. In the commercial, the guy said that Audible changed his life. So that's a huge claim. But anyway, a lot of people might...
He's like, I hate to read.
But I listened to books and it changed me. But through your local library system, there's most likely that after you link your library card, you can check up to 10 digital items at a time out. Now, depending on your library, these digital items can also include movies and TV shows. And these are movies and TV shows that you will recognize the titles to. The movies and TV shows, typically the rental lasts like any other rental, like 3 days. But if you rent out an audiobook, it's good for 14 to 21 days. My wife's been using this for years. She loves it. It's saved us a lot of money. She's always listening to audiobooks. I've noticed that a lot of people who listen to podcasts also love audiobooks.
Yeah, I'm actually looking right now in our current library. They have access to a web, so you can borrow digital audiobooks with your library card. They also have what's called RB Digital. They have over 30,000 digital audiobooks. They have Skillsoft books, which are like technical books, business books, engineering content, things like that.
Yeah, if you listen to audiobooks at all, before you subscribe to anything like Audible, check out what you can get for free. Another thing that some libraries offer for free is ancestry research. Joe is going to tell us a little more about that. But before, why is it like every month my wife is trying to find out who her great-great-grandfather 20 times removed is? I don't know. She loves it. And a lot of people do. I don't understand it. I just guess I don't care.
Everybody wants to make a connection, man.
But tell us, Joe, what you can get for free at the library.
Yeah, I love looking at old pictures where like all the bathing suits are like they're wearing full suits to go in the pool. It cracks me up. Every picture I see of like old timey pictures is like they're in bathing suits for some reason. Anyways,
a lot of people swam back then. Like people don't swim.
Yeah,
enough.
they just
yeah.
They were swimming apparently in like their coats and hats and stuff. But no, what's really cool is you have access to, at least from my local library, you have access to Ancestry.com, which you'll all be very familiar with. It's a little bit different of a version, but it's a lot of the same information. And then they also give you access to a company called Heritage Quest, which is also one of these platforms where you can look up old census records, both in the U.S. and Canada. You can search Revolutionary War records and also obituaries. So check out your local library, because if you're doing that research and you're paying Ancestry.com, you're probably paying about $49.95 a month for that service.
Ooh, ouch.
So this is going to save you a lot of money. Might take a little bit more work, but it's totally going to be worth it.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Our next item that we're going to talk about real quickly is free seeds. Have you ever tried to start your own garden there, Joe? It seems like my wife has gotten into gardening recently. So I think I built my wife like 4 of these new boxes around the yard. And I didn't realize until she told me you can get seeds for free, at least at our local library. You go in there, there's probably 200 different kinds that you can choose from. We chose a lot of fruits and vegetables. And what's nice about these is they've already been grown locally. They're climatized to Arizona, where we live, and you go in and you get them for for no cost at all.
Seeds are actually pretty expensive, so that's great. You know, another thing I want to clue our listeners into is Consumer Reports. If you were to go to Consumer Reports right now, you would pay $39 a year in order to get access to Consumer Reports. But if you go to your local library's website,
that's what always gets me. I'm researching something, and you and I are a lot alike. Before we make a big purchase, we want to know everything about it. Then it pulls us up to Consumer Reports website. We start to read a little blurb, and they're like, subscribe now, and you can read everything else. And then I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not going to pay $39.99 for that.
You know, it's so interesting you say that, because I've always wanted access to Consumer Reports. And until we were researching this podcast, I never, I didn't want to pay $39 a year, because I felt like I could do the research and still get it myself and things like that. But now that I have access to Consumer Reports, I'm actually probably doing a little bit more buying I'm going to be doing some more buying, because I can see what's the best grill to get, what's the best mattress to buy, SUVs, sunscreens, refrigerators, air conditioners, air fryers, dehumidifiers, TVs, vacuums, all that stuff. It's really hard to find accurate information, and people that have really, we might look on YouTube and see, an unboxing video, and I really like this, but you don't really know if they are biased or if they're getting paid or something like that to review some of these products. You can trust Consumer Reports, at least in all the information I've been reading out about it. You can certainly trust it.
Yeah, on Amazon.com, when you're reading the review on some item, and then at the very bottom they tell you, oh, by the way, we were given this item for free, or we were paid for this review. I'm like, well, I'm not going to trust you. Consumer Reports has been around forever. They're a great source, and it's cool that you can get it free from the library. The final thing that I want to talk about that you can get free from the library is free tickets to local events and local museums. And I actually found out about this right after we purchased tickets to the Science Center in Phoenix. They're about $20 each. And we found out that you can get what's called a culture pass from our library, where you get admission for 2 people for free. We found out that you can get into the Desert Botanical Gardens for free, even the art museum there. So if you want to take a night on the town, check out your library. See what they offer. Why not? What do you got to lose? And one last quick little bit that I didn't put in our show notes. I'm going like Joe here.
Oh, he's going off.
He's
going off the deep
Believe
end.
it or not, I'm going off the show notes. So this website is lynda.com. A lot of people right now are trying to brush up on some skills. Maybe they have a little extra time. They're doing online classes. Lynda.com is great for that. Normally that costs about $25 a month for a basic membership. But at my local library, they were offering this 100% for free. All you needed was your library card and login, and you could take as many of these free classes as you wanted.
When you go to lynda.com, you put in what things you're interested in learning, and then it will tell you just about how much time you need each week and make it just a little bit easier for you to take on some of those learning things. And by being connected to LinkedIn, you can also share some of those things on that social network as well. So what types of things can you learn on lynda.com?
They have a ton of courses on software development, design, business, web development, and photography, plus so much more. This is a great place to brush up on skills or even gain new skills. And with a library card, again, 100% for free.
So in addition to all the things we talked about, we just want to wrap up this information on the free resources that come from the library. This is all additional information that you could probably get from your local library online. And that includes legal services for wills and trusts or starting a business. There's also several auto repair manual websites. You could learn a language. You can get the New York Times. You can get grants from the government. You can even practice for your DMV test. So go ahead and check out your local library for those and take advantage of some of these free things that you can get from your local library. And now it's time for our money-saving tip of the week.
So this week, one more time. I'm just gonna nail it. It's gonna be so quick. You're not gonna fall asleep like I fell asleep during your. Like, what were you talking about for like 2 hours? You're talking about Ancestry.com for like 20 hours. You're like, you can go and search the McDonald's and the McCullough and said when they first came to the New World. In wooden ships, they actually set up in Plymouth Rock. So we have a very special money-saving tip this week. It's from my wife, Lucy, and she's actually written an entire blog post about her favorite clothing app, ThredUp. She's used it for several years now. She's found some great deals. I see some of the things that come in. You know, she's ordered anything from dresses to shirts to boots to shoes on there. And she has had a great experience so far using ThredUp. Please check out ThredUp to save money on your clothes. Please. I mean, honestly, I do have to, now that we say this, we aren't getting sponsored for any of these people. It's funny because we sell these things so well. We push all of these products so hard that you probably would think, man, they're getting paid from ThredUp, from Mint Mobile. We're not getting paid from nobody. Just telling you a little bit about their company. They have thousands of like new styles and your favorite brands at up to 90% off of estimated retail. What's really cool about them is they make sure that of all their 40,000 new arrivals each and every day, that this clothing is 100% authentic and in great shape. And in fact, it's in such great shape that you could even mistake it as new. In fact, my wife even said that sometimes they have clothing that still has the tags on it. She talks about it a little bit in her blog post.
Yeah, I'm here on their website, and it looks like they've got under $10 items, under $20 items. They've got stuff for kids. They've also got puzzles and other things. So definitely check out that website, and that's our money-saving tip of the week.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to our podcast this week. Make sure you check out the blog Lucy's 2 Cents. It's all about our money-saving tip and how to use ThredUp. We want to hear from you. Go to budgetbrospodcast.com and click the button Best Free Thing. There, you'll be able to share with us your story of the best free thing that you've ever gotten in your life.
So visit our website, budgetbrospodcast.com. On the top right, you can click for all of our social media platforms. And if you have questions or comments for us, please email us to budgetbrospodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in 7 days. Take care.